Turf Talk with Drew Miller. Presented by the Toro Company.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Tiger Turf Talk. I'm your host, Drew Miller. We are excited here to have Andi Meadows, the Assistant Superintendent of TPC San Antonio. Got that right? Mm-hmm. There we go. How are you doing? How's everything going? I know you're fresh off the GCSAA show and everything, but how's everything going for you being back home and just getting back into the swing of things?
Yeah, I'm doing great. It was a couple days of much needed recovery, but I was back at work the very next day and kind of trying to find my groove again. But yeah, I'm holding up strong, feeling great. I'm ready to see some grass grow. I'm ready to cut some grass.
Yeah, that's always fun. We've just got I think it was like 7 inches of snow yesterday, so we're having fun over here in Virginia and just dealing with snow.
Lovely.
But that is awesome to hear. I mean, conferences are always fun because it's sort of like a recharge and reset for most people. So it's awesome to hear. For you, obviously, a lot happened. What was the trip like? How did you, benefit in the sense? I know everyone always talks about like being a part of a professional network is always important and all that. And GCSA is second to none when it comes to developing, a great association for their professionals that are a part of it. For you specifically, and we'll get into the award here in a bit, obviously, but congratulations. I'm just going to start with that. How was your trip? What did you get to do? What did you love about it? What are some of the things that maybe you want to do next time or improve upon maybe for the conference, just whatever it is that you really enjoyed about it, and maybe some reasons why it's great to always go and be a part of it,
Sure. So a lot to unpack there, but I'll try to break it down into.
Sorry about that. I tend to ramble
steps,
sometimes.
So it was my first conference. I had a ticket, or I had gotten invited the year before, but because my director and my superintendent both go to the show, someone has to hold it down back home. And that's usually me and my fellow colleagues, my fellow assistants. But this time was a very special year for me, as you mentioned, and we can get into that as well. But I actually had everything paid for. So my flight was covered, my hotel was covered, and I was allowed 2 classes. So one of the parts of my trip was I got to get some pretty good education. The 2 classes I chose was tournament prep at Torrey Pines, tournament prep and recovery. And it was a very special year for them, hosting the Genesis and the tournament that they just had. So they're doing back-to-back PGA events. So to kind of see them overcome that type of obstacle, that's really huge. And then to have us come in on top of that as a
tournament before the tournament, right?
Yeah, but they accommodated us well, and they took the time to explain everything to us still, even though they were under all that kind of pressure. So that was really cool. And I did next steps as an assistant superintendent, kind of looking on ways to take that next step into a superintendent role. And we talked about the art of negotiation, which I was like writing everything down.
Need that
yes.
For next conversations,
Big time. So looking for ways to make more money, basically, in the industry.
Never a problem,
Yeah, so it was good. And then I saw so many people, and I felt so welcomed and so a part of, and I felt very, just very welcomed, which I didn't expect. And so that was so nice to see. Like, I'm trying to shake people's hand and they're trying to give me a hug, and I'm like, okay, it's like, it's cool. It's like cool.
It's like, we're there, I guess. All right, let's do this.
Get in here.
Get in here. I hear you.
So it was really nice to feel that love and that support coming from industry leaders and like people who I look up to. And I got invited to a really nice dinner, which was a TPC event, and I did lots of socials, I guess you could say.
Oh yeah,
that's AKA parties. So
the
I did a lot
stuff.
of that. I mean, even that was cool because I don't really get out much because the turf industry is kind of demanding as far as my hours, and then I'm in school as well currently, so I'm very disciplined in my day-to-day, and everything's always planned out. And so just to kind of get out of my comfort zone and just be free, and I not really have I only had one thing that I was really obligated to do through the GCSAA, and that was the award ceremony. So basically the rest of my schedule was open. I tried to make the best of it. There were times where I just wanted to lay in my bed and not wake up.
It happens sometimes, especially in those mornings. You're like, nope, I'm not doing it. I got to do it, dang it.
I gotta do it. Because like you said, it's a great networking opportunity, and I really wanted to make the best of my time there. So I tried my best to get out and mingle and meet people, and I'm part of the Women in Turf team. So we're growing in numbers. It's really nice to see that coming as a woman who started in the industry in South Mississippi, where there were 6 women on our crew, but they weren't career superintendents. You know, they were women who were kicking ass, mind you, but they were just chilling on like a greens mower, tea mower, or fairway mower, or something like that. So to see other women like crushing it in the industry, and looking at women who are like in the Architect Hall of Fame, and women who are hosting the Ryder Cup in Italy, like it's, and that the GCSAA brought us all together. We had a reception, and I got to mingle and meet some of my role models.
It's pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
It's a special moment to have. It's getting to meet them in person and then get to know them on a personal level, to have that like later on whenever you need it. So that's super cool, and it's awesome to be able to have those moments for sure. Yeah. Now, I'm going to botch the name, and I apologize for my phone going off. I was looking for the title of your award. It's the Allan MacCurrach Jr. Award.
So just so you don't feel bad, I struggled with this.
Okay, I feel a little better.
For a really long time.
Sorry, Allan.
Sorry, Allan.
I'm so sorry.
Sorry, Allan, too, because I've made some social media posts that I wish I could take back after learning the proper pronunciation, but it's MacCurrach.
MacCurrach. See, that makes sense.
Allan MacCurrach.
The phonics of everything. I was like, you mock people, and then you get stuck in this situation, you're like, that's not good. Exactly. Didn't make that sound right. I apologize. So it's, if you could give a little idea of what the award is and the honor, and just overall what it meant to you and the impact it has had on you since receiving it and being able to be a part of something that, again, congratulations, because it's incredible, and to be recognized like that is something that is going to stick with you forever, you know, so it's really cool, and congratulations again.
Absolutely. Thank you. So I'm really excited to talk about this scholarship. Allan MacCurrach was the first PGA Tour agronomist, and he had a non-traditional career path to where he was doing something else, and then all of a sudden decided that he wanted to go with turf. And so he kind of switched his whole career plan and went to school, got his degree, a second degree, and became the first PGA Tour agronomist. So his son is now in golf course construction. I believe he's the third. And he has started a scholarship in his dad's name, and GCSAA also contributes to it as well. And I heard about this scholarship through like magazine publications and social media and such, and I myself, I guess, had a non-traditional career path. Although I've been in turf since 2006, I decided that I wanted to have a family, so I married a military man, followed him around for 15 years, and when that didn't work out, I was ready to stand on my own 2 feet. And so throughout all of that time, though, I was still pursuing a career in golf course. I was working at courses here and there, and then in 2018, I started my educational journey through community college, and haven't looked back since. But I guess that kind of makes me non-traditional in the sense that I'm like a woman and I was raising a family, and you know, I really, really, really wanted this. Like, I sacrificed so much, and I put so much on the line. Even when people told me I was crazy and I shouldn't do it and it's hard, you should give up. Like, I knew in my heart that that wasn't true for me. Like, that might be true for them, but they just don't know me. And I knew what was best. And come to find out, it's working out pretty well. So I applied for the scholarship twice, and I didn't get it the first time. And I think that's important for me to share. That way people understand, like, you may not get it the first time. So I did get a phone call, though, from them after my first application, just to tell me that I didn't get it, but I was the runner-up, and I still did get a $5,000 scholarship the year before, and I was still determined, because 5,000 doesn't go too far at Penn State towards a 4-year degree, and I wanted to keep going. So I applied the following year, which was 2024, and I actually got it. And so when I found out I got it, I was in complete disbelief. The way the announcement went out was a little weird. I was supposed to get a phone call, but I got an email instead, and I thought it was a mishap or a mistake. So I went straight to my director and I asked him, "Hey, have you heard anything?" And he said no. And so I was afraid to get too excited. But when I found out that it was actually legit, I felt like I was living in some kind of a dream. And I had to sit down and just cry. I just cried.
Yeah.
But to see that there's like actually goodness in the world has really softened my heart. And I feel obligated to give back in any way that I can. So since receiving the award, I've kind of been riding this wave of acknowledgement, and really try to come with some kind of message of hope for people, that, if this is something that you really want, if you work hard enough, the right people will notice, and it's going to pay off eventually.
Well, I really appreciate you sharing that, because it's hard to be vulnerable in the fact that, you had so many people saying you should give up, and being able to persevere through that. There are things that people will never know what's going on in your life. Raising a family is difficult, and the wear and stuff that you have to do for family, and to be able to do what you're doing, this message that you are portraying right now should be heard by everyone, because it's something that, can't be taught. It can't be learned, really. It just has to be sort of admired and then sort of emulated in a way. For you, so much goes into making those decisions. You're saying a 4-year degree from Penn State. It's not cheap, obviously. There are so many things. What is your driving force behind everything that you are, so determined and so passionate about this industry and being able to follow your dream, again, of one day being a superintendent?
So that, I try to reflect a lot on that, because sometimes I have to think, well, at what cost am I willing to do all this for? I've always been really driven. I guess my brain works a little different than others. So like I kind of have like an obsessive type brain that I need to keep in check at times, because it can go south.
Might take a left turn somewhere, but most of the time we're right on path, right?
Yeah, so I try to fill that with things that are good for me, to keep me out of the things that are bad for me and self-destructive. I'm also really hungry. Like, I don't know why I feel I need to prove. I think it's because it's just been so hard. It's been a really, really hard path, and I feel the urge to earn my seat at the table, and I feel there's a lot of, I guess there's some fear tied in that. Like I'm just afraid that maybe I'll be broke and homeless if I don't work harder. I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, it's a driving force, to be honest. I mean, it's a very real thing for a lot of people, and that's what's hard about, having like industry professionals that, again, you look up to and you don't really know, but at the same time, like, it's hard to know what's going on in your life from here in Virginia. It's hard to know what's going on in other people's life in the industry, and we can all put on a face and we can all have that, like, hey, this is great type of thing. But like, and that's why for the reason of the podcast, why we kept doing it, is to showcase the real life things, the things that, I can teach all the live long day in my classroom with my students and rah, 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 this is amazing. But this is real, very real things that I can't give you here in the classroom. I can't make happen again in real life. It's a classroom, right? You have an hour and a half with me, you move on to your next class, you can come out and help after school and whatever, go get an internship on a golf course. We have a lot of kids that do that, but like being able to showcase here in a space where, again, it's very real and people need to understand that, is really, really important to hear. So I appreciate that. For obviously your current role at TPC, I almost said it. San Antonio.
Got it.
Yes. It's such a big network of golf courses. Obviously, there are so many TPCs and everything. For you, what has it been like being able to come into this role and be able to have such an impact, like you said, on tournaments like crazy and all these different things? What do you love about it? How did this journey sort of bring you to this point where, again, you're in a position where you're having an impact on big-time golf all the time?
Sure. So I do want to state that when I first came in, I was just an assistant in training. So I've gone from an assistant, even though I had 15 years of golf experience, I just needed my foot in the door. So I was willing to take any position. Well, I wasn't willing to take an operator position because I didn't want to get stuck in that role again. And that came from experience. I knew what I wanted when I interviewed, and I already have the degree. So I was looking for an assistant position. So I was willing to take the assistant in training and quickly moved up to a second assistant. I stayed in that second assistant role for like 2.5 or 3 years, and then I was surprised that they decided that they were going to make me a first assistant. But during that time, I was putting in the work. I was working tournaments. We host the Texas Valero Open the first week of April, so that is our home PGA Tour event. As part of the TPC network, one of the benefits of that is that we go on tournament support. So we'll go help out other TPC golf courses, and we'll kind of be there to mainly as data collection. So we'll check green speeds, we'll check green firmness, and we'll check that's it. Green speed and green firmness, and we'll record all that data. We put it into a spreadsheet that goes to the tour agronomist. Then that's how they make their decisions on agronomic practices, on if we need to get the greens faster, do we need to slow them down a little bit. That way we can give the players the conditions that they expect. And being a part of that network is really cool because when you get to see other clubs, you get to see how they line up their equipment before taking off, or how they're running their operation. And so we can take the good and we could bring it back, and we just make our tournament and our course better and better by having that network of people. It also connects us to different directors and different PGA Tour agronomists. So we're getting where it's a learning experience as well. We might be working on cool season grass at one course and Bermuda grass at another course. TPCs are really good too at hiring from within. So if a position opens up, and we've already been to that course, we've been introduced to the crew, we've been introduced to the mechanics and all that, then we kind of have an idea of what that course has to offer, and we can make an educated decision on if that's the next step we want to take or not. We also gain more mentors that way. So the more people you meet, the more opportunities you have, not only for other tournaments and other things, but for mentorship as well.
Absolutely. Now, for not San Antonio, outside that, in the TPC world, what has been one of your favorite memories, and maybe one of those mentors that you've been able to meet, connect with, and really understand that, like, you have someone in your corner, and just overall favorite experience, you know what I mean?
That's tough. So
Too many, right?
I would have to say that I probably have two. One is a TPC. Okay, so the first TPC tournament support I did was at TPC Southwind in Memphis, Tennessee, and that will always hold a special place in my heart because it was the first one that I did, and it was my first time collecting data for a major PGA Tour event, and the pressure was on because I didn't really practice before going. And there was one time the greens were so fast I couldn't get the ball to stop. And then the agronomist came over, the director came over. I had the whole crowds watching me. I was so nervous.
And you're like, guys, this is still rolling. It's going back to the tee box.
Oh my gosh. So even though that probably was the most stressful moment, I have to say it was probably the coolest as well, because I was able to learn how to compose myself and be professional even when I was scared and didn't know what I was doing and felt like a fool. But probably the top thing that I ever got to experience was when we worked the U.S. Women's Open in Pebble Beach. So it was the first time the women LPGA had ever been on a venue such as that, Pebble Beach, and we had 30 women come from the agronomy side. So there were 30 women taking care of the course for the women professional golfers. And there was a moment where we followed Rose Zhang down 18 fairway, and all the women had our arms locked like this. And as she would take a shot, we'd go up the fairway with her, and then we eventually ended on the green. And there was like a time where there was a photo, and then they had been given a USGA award, and it was all televised on national TV. And so that moment when we just had all those women who had been like superintendents for 30 years, and so you had like the older generation, then you had like me, I guess I'm in the middle, and then we had like young girls who were like still in school and stuff, and so that was a really, really powerful moment, and I'll probably remember that as being like one of the most proud I've ever been of my in the journey.
That's awesome. I remember that one. That was really cool to see everything from afar. But I had a couple friends who were there, so that's awesome.
Cool.
Obviously, you know, when we talk about the course itself, do you have multiple courses on site? Is it just the one? Usually you have 3 or 4 courses when you talk about TPC stuff. But for you, if you could give just like a rundown of what you're maintaining, tees to greens, sort of your day-to-day in the sense of like what you're focusing on, getting away from tournament. We'll come back to tournament play, obviously, but just sort of a precursor to what we should be understanding when we're talking about tournaments later on for just agronomy standpoint, what grasses we're maintaining and your guys' focus.
Okay, so we have 2 golf courses at TPC San Antonio. We have the Oaks course, which is our tournament course. That's the one that's on the video game, and that's the one that people know. I worked on that course for 9 months. Then we had like a change in command, and things were kind of moved around a little bit. At that time, I was moved to our other course. So we have 2 18-hole golf courses. That is called the Canyons course. It used to host Corn Ferry events, and we're probably going to get the well, it sounds like we are. I think we're having the PGA Accessibilities tournament.
Very nice.
And that's coming up pretty soon. So, sorry, that's my dog.
What kind of dog, real quick?
Yeah, he's old.
Oh.
So I've spent the past few years over there. We have champion Bermuda greens on that course. We do not overseed that course. We paint that course. So that is really our summer course. The other course, our tournament course, we do overseed that wall to wall. We also have champion Bermuda greens on that course, but we overseed with Poa Trivialis on greens and tees. Now, we overseed our fairways and our rough with rye chewings fescue mix. So we have cool season grass that we're dealing with over there. Now, as far as anything outside of that, we have a lot of varieties out there. So the course that I spend most of my time on, we have champion Bermuda greens. We have 419 fairways and collars. We used to have Emerald Bermuda in our approaches. That's changed over time. We have Latitude Bermuda around our bunker faces. They did that during a bunker renovation that we had a couple years ago. And we have zoysia, Palisade zoysia, in these areas that they're kind of like waste bunkers, but they have church pew, like islands in them. So those are zoysia grass. The other course, the one that we overseen on, the underlying grass there mainly is Bandera Bermuda, which is kind of like a native-y. It really likes the soil and the climate, so it's taken over and we've just ran with it.
Yeah.
So that's mostly Bandera Bermuda, and then we did a PF facility renovation, and we went with zoysia and Bermuda on that. So we're dealing with a lot of different varieties of turf, but I'm most familiar with the warm seasons and then the little bit of time that we have our overseed.
I feel like golf courses, it's always a hodgepodge of everything that comes together, you know?
Yeah.
It works the way it works, right?
Exactly. But as far as my day-to-day goes, in the morning we host the meeting, so we have I'm there early. We do stage our equipment, so by the time our employees get there, everything is already pulled out and ready to go for them with all the tools they need already in there. We give the morning meeting and get everyone situated, and then it's time to go out. So we're kind of short on mechanics right now. So I'll be out there checking on the first few greens. I'll be checking the height, like the mow, and I'll make sure that our mowers are cutting everything with a nice quality of cut. I'll friendly remind our greens mowers of anything that they're doing that might cause damage or be not aesthetically pleasing. So we'll kind of get everyone on the same page there.
A little too far into the collar.
Yeah. Yeah. Another thing
You need to
they
make
like to
like
do
a
is
fence,
just
right?
they like
Make
to drop that mower down too when they first come on, and it's just
Always fun. Always fun to find things that you're like, well, I didn't expect that today. All right.
I know. We do have a hog situation, so we go out and we used to check the hog traps first thing, but because for safety reasons we haven't been able to exterminate them like we used to. That used to be one of the job titles. But
Fun.
yeah, we've passed that one on. But I just stroll through the course and I check on everybody. And we do a lot on this course because the other one is our tournament course, and we're getting really close to tournament. If we get new people, they're usually training on our course. And we kind of feel them out and see their abilities and what they're capable of. And if they're, if they're good enough, I guess you can, or if they're...
You place them based off of skill sets.
Skill sets, yeah. They'll go to the other course, but it's like a practice course for people. I don't have as much oversight on my course, so I have a lot of freedom to do projects and experiment and get different people doing different things. So there's more opportunity on our course. There's more learning going on our course.
Love
the
that.
other one just seems like, it just...
Everything's perfect. Everything's level. Okay, we have none of that. You messed up that blade of grass. Go over there.
Basically.
For sure.
But I'll just make my way through the course and just scout things out. I'm looking for diseases. I'm looking for dryness. I'm looking for wetness. I'm looking for everything. I'm trying to just get a plan for second jobs and try to make sure that we're using our employees the best way possible.
Absolutely. Now, when it comes to just the overall maintenance and figuring out how to properly attack certain situations, obviously moisture and everything is critical and all the different measurements. For you, what data is most important to your day-to-day work, and how are you using that data to sort of plan out sort of your cultural practices, whether that's specific tines on a fairway or green or whatever? What are you looking for and what are you focusing on when it comes to developing your cultural practice schedule and plan, sort of?
One of our big things, because we're in Central Texas and we've been in a drought for like 4 years, so water management is
Simple
huge.
4 years, right? Jeez, oh my gosh. Come get some of our snow. You can ship it over there into water.
Build a pipe. Let's make a pipeline.
We'll just an aqueduct all the way down.
There you go. We need it.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're fine. But as far as data goes, we really try. We're on water budgets and all that. Collecting TDR readings, moisture readings. I'm trying to find out how we can save water. That's really huge. Our director's been in it so long. We have a really nice preventative program for pretty much everything that we do. So that's kind of the way we try to attack things. We have every 2 weeks we do a fungicide. Every 2 weeks we're doing a foliar. And if we see anything pop up, like I said, I'm checking every single day. We try to catch it right then and there on the spot. We're not really doing much right now because we're not really growing. So anything outside of just mowing when we can, which now is kind of like every other day. We're just listening to what the grass is trying to tell us and kind of making our agronomic decisions based on that. And that kind of goes along too with I'll always look at clipping yields as well. So we're trying to figure out like our primo rates and plant growth regulators based on clipping yields. And then when summer kicks off is when we're really going to pick up on those cultural practices. But right now it's all weather dependent.
All right. Now, for you guys having, again, sort of that state of drought and being required a certain amount, how much time do you guys spend on sort of the environmental side of understanding, well, we're sort of these stewards, obviously, in the space of golf, and everyone always accuses the superintendent of polluting all this stuff, and thank goodness for the GCSAA doing studies showcasing that we're like less than 1% of all, water pollution and all pollution in general, right? So what are some of the things that you take into account when you're sort of prioritizing certain aspects of that agronomic plan in a sense? What is it that drives your decision in sort of the environmental side of things?
So we're very, very, very environmentally conscious on our property. We sit on top of the Edwards Aquifer, which is the most precious drinking water for like more than 2 million people. Our whole property is clay capped. So the idea is that nothing can get through that clay cap. Everything kind of collects on the bottom. It goes to a drain, which takes it to our capture ponds, and everything is recycled. So our property is really special for a number of reasons, that being one of them. So we're really regulated by SAWS, which is the San Antonio water system, and we can only use products that we're registered for. And that's like a big thing that I work on as well, is our chemical applications and the sprays and stuff that we do. We only have about 20 things that we're able to use. And those things are tried, true, and tested to be safe for anything that's like water related, or, we don't have to wear anything that's like PPE outside of long sleeves, boots, and goggles in some cases, just to be on the safe side. But we also have, as far as environmental programs go, we're Audubon certified, so we have certain things that we do in alignment with that. One of which is our native wildflower project. So we go out and we plant these huge acres of just native wildflowers, and that's good for all the pollinators and all that stuff. So we don't want to counteract that by spraying anything that's really bad. So everything we use has been in use for many, many years. We're not spraying anything that's like dangerous to pollinators or fish. But yeah, outside of just following the laws and the regulations, they are building houses around our golf course now, and which, that's kind of the number one bad for anything. So I'm interested to see if any of our water testing is going to come up, because we do regular water testing to make sure that we're not putting anything in there that shouldn't.
It's the houses, guys. Don't look at us. We're the good people. I love how you brought up sort of the native plant wildflower habitat. It's really big here, even in Northern Virginia, and just it's really cool to see all of that. I know
Nice.
One of our students works for a golf course. The assistant, it's like his baby. So like the super is like, you know what, we get these like specific areas, and you can do what you will. So he's got like all these hives and everything. Cool. So they're like doing all these things. I'm like, just keep the bees over there, guys, okay? I'm not allergic, but I don't like bees. So. All right. So obviously everything that goes into this, I do want to get back into the tournament side of things. Obviously you said you're very involved in tournament setup and figuring out all the different aspects. For you guys, and it's funny, we had students that were part of the Solheim Cup this past year. There's so much that goes into planning, just having people on site. You have the housing, you have the uniforms, you have all these things that like no one actually considers to be a part of it, right? But for you guys, from 6 months out, because it's an annual thing, so I'm sure you got it down to a T now, whatever time frame that is. But from scheduling people coming in, understanding the testing for PGA and all of these things, what's that process look like for you guys, and how have you guys sort of been able to refine it to where you guys really do have it every single year and it's just simple now for you guys? But could you just go over the process and what that's like from, again, getting volunteers to, first day teeing off, you know what I mean?
Okay, so we start this pretty far out, like our October, our tournament's in April, but October is when we're we're kind of starting. We'll do the overseed and all that then, and that takes like a lot of manpower because we're walking all of that. But
God bless you guys.
Yeah.
Out there. Oh my gosh.
So then we have the grow in and all that, and right now we're kind of in a place where, well, I would say January, about 3 months out, we're really starting to order things, and we have our director is constantly trying to get sponsorship. So a lot, like you said, a lot goes into it. It's the hotels, it's the volunteers, it's the food, it's the tent that we're staying in. It's making sure that everybody is getting in, like motivating people.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to keep people motivated year round, our employees especially. But we have a tournament like application that goes out, and then that goes live, and then people start coming in and they fill out an application, and then from there, we have a list, and then we have to make sure everybody's committed. So we want 25 volunteers, but let's just say 30, because usually about 5 or more may back out, and then we need some people on standby, maybe some local folk. It's easy to get them here, and so we're trying to secure volunteers right now. We're kind of reaching out to those we haven't heard back from. All of the shirts need to be ordered, so you have to get everybody's sizes, and then if you have women, then they kind of require different style t-shirt, and so you have to separate that from that. And then you have all the travel expenses, so we do reimbursement programs. So usually people book their own flights, but I've been to tournaments that will book the flight for you, so then there's all of that. We plan our meals out every day because we will provide breakfast, and then we provide dinner. To get those meals sponsored, that requires a lot of hustle and bustle, but we have a great menu planned that has barbecue, it has steaks, it has shrimp boil. So these aren't just burgers and hot dogs. We're
pulling the grill out, guys. It's all right. We're good.
And lucky for me, because I get to take leftovers home.
There you go.
I'll be eating that for a couple weeks after the fact. And then you got to think about equipment. Do we have enough gators for everybody? Because we're getting 25 more people on site. So we have to make sure we have enough gators. We have to make sure we have enough of all the pieces of equipment that we need to run the course. And our mechanics are really awesome. They'll go out and they wax everything. So when our John Deere stuff hits that turf, everything is shiny,
yeah,
and looking nice. So there's a whole lot. Then there's transportation once they're here. How are we going to get everybody to the golf course every morning? So we have to get vans, and then our tournament support comes in. They're like the babysitters of the volunteer people. So yeah, it's a lot. And then to plan those jobs. So you have people who have never seen our golf course before, and we're going to go send them out in the dark to go rake bunkers, but they don't know that there's 4 bunkers on number 8. They may only see 1, so we have to team them up with somebody who's already on the crew and is friendly enough to be patient with someone.
Just to remind them, hey guys, there's one over there. Or,
Yeah, don't talk to that
you
one.
get back and you're like, did you do this one? They're like, which one? I don't know what you're talking about. Wasn't told. Sorry. Our guy wasn't very interactive.
Yeah, there's a lot of moving pieces when that time comes, and we like to give everybody a tour that Sunday when they come in. So that's usually me walking everybody through, this is, different areas of the golf course that are important, and trying to show them different landmarks to look for to try to know where they're supposed to be.
You get the radio call, you're like, which one is that again? It's the one with the totem pole, okay? You should know this.
Totem pole.
Yeah, that was always our thing as kids, as our parents is like, if you're ever, I forget what the museum, it was like a Museum of Natural History in Chicago that has a massive totem pole. They're like, if you get lost, go to the totem pole.
Exactly.
So whenever I have my kids out or somewhere, we're at a conference or something, this is the totem pole. It's just like the entrance sign or something. It's like, you get lost, you're here.
Exactly.
So, for sure. Now, there's so much that goes into just sort of, again, being a part of this industry. You're currently working on a 4-year degree. What are some of your aspirations? There's a lot of time and energy that goes into, getting a degree without having a full-time job. You know what I mean? So what are some of your future goals? What are your hopes? What is the overall, goal in this industry for you?
So some of that is still to be determined. Obviously, for short-term goals, I do want to finish out this degree. I should be finishing in the spring of 2026.
Congratulations.
Hopefully debt-free.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah.
That's huge.
I did already get the 2-year advanced certificate, but because of the scholarship opportunities, I was 20 credits short of the 4-year degree at that time. So I'm pushing through.
It's worth it, right?
Yeah, I think it'll be worth it. I'm also pursuing the assistant superintendent certification through GCSAA, so
That's
I'm
awesome.
working on that as well. All I have left there is the business portion of it.
Very nice.
So I guess that's budgets and all that. So I want to finish that out as well within this year. I'm hoping to have that finished after March or April. May, maybe.
One of those months right there in the area.
Yeah.
I got you.
Something. I don't want to put too much of a time limit on it. 'Cause stuff
Exactly.
comes
You're
up.
like, it's in the general vicinity of
Yeah.
maybe June this year, June 2 years from now.
Something.
I was the same way with my doctorate. I could have been done with my doctorate in like 2020 when I got it like a year and a half later.
Well, congratulations on that. That's
thank
big.
you. Thank you. It was
Absolutely.
stupid choice on my part, but I can say that I did it,
Good deal.
Yeah.
Well, I guess other than that's a short term. I get to work the Players Championship in March.
That's awesome.
And I'll get to meet the award giver, Allan MacCurrach Jr.
That is so cool.
I can't wait.
That is so cool. That's
I'm definitely
awesome.
going to try to shake his hand, but he may try to hug me. I don't know.
You gotta get a picture with him. Just a big hug and then get the picture and you're like, I didn't bring the award, I'm sorry, but I'll put it in a frame next to the award,
Yeah. Yeah, so that'll be a cool experience. That's definitely a short-term goal. And then once I get my degree, then it's going to be time for me to figure out, well, do I want to stay in this place where I'm comfortable and I know things and, just skirting by? Or do I want to take the next step, which I think is the natural thing to do? So I'll be looking for a superintendent role. Hopefully within the network. I would like to stay in the network. I feel a certain sense of loyalty to them. They've been very good to me. And I just would love to stay within the network. I'd love to stay with the PGA Tour and do something. Ultimately, I would like to just be on a low budget course somewhere out in Hawaii and have my dog. That's the ultimate.
That's so much to ask. Come on, guys. Let's
Right? I'll take whatever.
Housing including would be nice,
Yeah.
no biggie. Just throw that in there. Maybe a car. We'll talk about it once.
Yeah, and the phone.
Is it hard to ask? Hawaii. It's crazy. I forget who it was the other day, but they started talking about Hawaii. I'm like, it's just some place you feel like you got to go at some point just to see what it's like,
It's special. It's really, really special.
Yeah.
So just
you've
to be
been?
on a piece of land, all I want to do is be on a piece of land out in Hawaii.
There you
And
go.
work land in Hawaii. That's it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. I wish I had that ambition to just go to Hawaii. I'm stuck here in my 8 inches of snow.
Oh, I feel you. I feel you.
But and I think that's incredible to again have those goals short term and long term. Sorry, long day. When you're talking about just the overall landscape of the industry, I love how intertwined even just the TPC network is. All the opportunities across the country, and that's just a small, tiny network inside of the golf industry. I'm sure you have 50 golf courses in a 100-mile radius of where you're at. So. Probably way more than 50, but I don't know how populated San Antonio is when it comes to stuff like that. Mm-hmm. We went out to Palm Springs for the Sports Field Management Association this year, and it was just golf course when you were flying in. I was like, I don't think I've ever seen this many golf courses populated in one spot. But hey, there's opportunity there for sure.
Yeah, just security.
Yeah, for sure. I do want to shift. I do sort of wrap it up on these couple questions, obviously, with our students and everything. When we talk about sort of like the future and what you've accomplished in your time in the industry, and again, your non-traditional route, if there was one thing that you wish you could know before you started in golf, what would that one thing be and why? Take your time. I stump people on this one. I'm sorry. I feel like I should message this to you guys beforehand.
No, it's fine. I wish I would have known to go to school sooner, honestly, because it would have saved some of the injury on my body. I wish I would have taken better care of my body.
Which is critical. I mean, I don't think a lot of people talk about that, which, again, I mean, you're talking about 15 years on a course before you're doing school, and it's a lot.
Yeah, and it's always been really hard for me to tell someone when I'm hurting or that I have an injury and that I'm physically limited. Because I'm afraid that they're going to hold that against me. And, I think they might to some extent, but I wish I would have just been able to say that when I needed it and then given myself a break.
Well, hopefully you're in a spot where they understand that they're at your current
Yeah,
goal, so.
I'm not doing the things that I used to do anymore. So, and education has provided me that luxury.
Absolutely. Now, this one is directly for my students. This will be the last question. I've kept you pretty long. Sorry about that.
That's fine.
It's been a great conversation. Best words of advice. It might be for students that are going into this industry. It might be for students that are just taking that next step, walking across stage at graduation this year. What would be your best words of advice for them taking that next step in life and really blazing their own trail, in this crazy world and this crazy life we all get to experience in our own way? What's your best words of advice for them sort of taking that next step?
So it's I can speak for me and my experience, but I feel like the higher I reach, the more I see that it's achievable. And so I've gotten to a place where I would always dream really big and then accomplish it. And then I'm like, crap, I got to dream bigger and bigger. And it's like hard. At some point it becomes hard to even imagine a bigger dream. So I would just like to say, like, keep dreaming bigger. And there's it's scary to, I always use comparing it to like the trapeze, like you're jumping from one trapeze and you're trying to catch that other one, and it's that letting go. But I've always found that it's there, like it's there to catch, like I'm there to catch me.
Yeah.
And it's everything that I ever wanted is like on the other end of that trapeze. I just have to let go and catch it.
I love that. That's so cool. Because it really is really hard to take that step. It's something that, you try and tell a high schooler, right? You're like, hey guys, like this is the easy part. The real world, it gets pretty difficult. And some of you are in scenarios where, life isn't going to be fair. Life's not going to treat you right, You meet some of these kids and their lives that they have to deal with at home and supporting their families during high school, and it's just not fair at all, But at the end of the day, it's still going to be what you make it, and, what you can do by taking that leap, like you're saying, is where it's sort of the sky's the limit on what you can do. So I think that is so cool, and I really appreciate it. So
yeah, I love that you said that about the kids, and I can really relate to that as far as like the family situation. But it's such a relief and so freeing when you can do your own thing, and you find that there really are some good people out there. And this industry has provided me a passion and a purpose and like meaning in life, and I've met some good people that teach me like wonderful life skills. And I don't know if any other industry is like that, but I really found my place and my purpose and my people and like my family within the industry.
And I couldn't agree with you more. Hey, buddy, I hear you.
You hear him?
I hear him. Couldn't agree with you more when it comes to the people. You know, it's something that it's very unique in the sense that no one's really trying to compete against each other. Everybody wants what's best for each other, and if that means that's getting on a phone call about, you know, moisture with putting greens, or if that's just a phone call about personal life and making sure everyone's okay with what you're dealing with or what everyone else is dealing with, it's something that again, like you said, I've come to love about this industry because you really can't find it anywhere else. I've got friends across this country that I could call and they would drop at the ring, you know, they would drop everything and answer the phone, you know, so.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you taking the time today. This has been phenomenal. I wanted to say congratulations again, and best of luck with the upcoming tournament, both tournaments.
Thank you.
However many tournaments there's going to be.
All of them.
All of the things, right?
Yeah.
Well, again, I appreciate you taking the time today.
Yeah, it was so nice to hang out and talk.
Yeah.